Okay.
I have read The Jungle Books by Rudyard Kipling. Now, you're booping Alfred.
Yes. Booping him on the snooting.
So, Jungle Books. So this is, I guess, 2 books. You can just read it as, like, it's the length of one novel anyway. It's like 360 pages. But it is split into the original Jungle Book and then the second Jungle Book. So I guess they were released only a year apart, though. So just a sequel, essentially.
So I know that like the Disney one is not really related as much to like the Rudyard Kipling book. There is a version that I did see that's old animation, like 2D animation, that's going over the actual rules of the jungle.
Yeah.
And
That's a lot of
some
that.
Things of that. And it's basically like the bureaucracy and the politics of the jungle is what I understand this book to be.
I mean, there's a bit of that, but it still has like a nice story and everything as well. I will say one thing: both parts have a couple of stories about Mowgli, which are the obvious like centerpieces, and then a couple of other random stories that are like, okay, that's also here, you know.
Oh, okay.
So you'll see as we go. They're all pretty pleasant, but like the ones that are actually about Mowgli are the ones that you care about.
Those are the ones everyone knows. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. So. Maybe not touching every single one, but we'll just kind of go through it. I may or may not remember where the first book starts and the second book ends, but we do start with Mowgli.
Want to reverse those?
First book starts in the... Well...
I don't know if the first book beginning has anything to do with the second book's ending.
Or vice versa. You know what I mean. So,
Yep.
essentially the beginning, Mowgli is there with the wolves, and he's going to be like a member of the wolf pack. The Papa Wolf has decided, like, that he wants to have him in the pack, but, like, some of the other animals aren't sure. They go to, like, their wolf council, and a demon kind of comes in and actually makes the call in the end. And he's like, sorry, I shouldn't really be necessarily in your, group here, but I'm gonna, give my extra vote in your favor. The thing is, the tiger, who I think is Shere Khan,
Yeah.
he wants to eat him.
Mowgli.
Yes. And they have to be like, right, you can't do that, and we're going to raise him as a wolf. So it's a bit tricky for Mowgli, because of course he's human. They raise him like a wolf. As the books go on, you feel sorry for him, because like they eventually tell him, well, you're not a real wolf, though, but you're also not really a person at this point, so you don't really fit in anywhere, you know? So the other characters from the movie are here, like Baloo the bear is here, although he's described in this as being a very old bear, not dancing around. Like
Yes, exactly.
In the show.
I have no idea where Disney even got that from. It has very little... The characters are here?
Yeah, Bagheera the Black Panther, and Kaa the snake. So they all appear, and monkeys and things. Like they're all in it at some point in the different stories. So Shere Khan isn't, allowed to have him. He's going to be raised with the wolves, and they teach him to do all the wolf things. Baloo teaches him the law of the jungle, so that's what you were talking about, and there's a lot about that. But I didn't realize this. When he gets something wrong, hits him.
And imagine a giant bear hitting this
Exactly. And he's like, I'm hitting him gently, and Bagheera's like, right, but he's covered in bruises, and you're going to break his head one day. Like, you're hurting him a lot. And he's like, oh, guess I maybe should ease up a little bit. But he's just hitting this poor boy. They try to teach him about the red flower, which is, of course, fire.
Yeah.
I also don't remember the movie. Like, I remember having it on VHS as a kid, but I haven't seen it in 25 years.
Exactly,
so
I haven't seen it in forever. I remember the Monkees song, and then I remember them going down the river, like, on Baloo's stomach. And then at the end, like, Mowgli goes to an actual village. Like that. That's really all I remember of it.
So... At the beginning, I thought the panther was going to be, like, bad because he's kind of sneaks in. But then he's not. He's a nice guy.
No, the panther is definitely...
Then I thought the snake was going to be bad because he kind of sneaks in. But then he's also good. So.
That's interesting. Yeah, the movie made him bad and also was going to eat him.
They become good friends by the end. I think the first story... Because they're short stories, right? The first one ends with him basically using the fire to scare away the tiger. And I think he singes him slightly. And... That's fine. They call him Little Frog, by the way. But it's almost like, you singed the tiger. That is something a human would do and not something a wolf would do, though, And that's the problem. But he's like, I defeated the tiger. No one else is doing that. We're all afraid of the tiger. So there's a sort of rule that the tiger shouldn't be attacking him because it was sort of dishonorable to attack a naked cub. Because, like, I guess with an animal you'd wait until they grow up and grow their fur and grow out and become an adult, and this is a little baby.
But isn't it also against, like, the rules of the council that they had set up? Like, you would be going against the wolves,
Yeah.
essentially. Like, if you attacked him ever.
Eventually, yes,
I think
so,
the issue is also him becoming an adult. That is some of the fear, but...
Yeah, I guess it was going against the wolves after they choose to like keep him and adopt him. Then, of course, there was no longer an option to attack him. But he still comes. Now and again, Shere Khan still slinks around a little bit. He's like, right, I still want the boy.
I think there are other boys in other villages if you really, really want to attack.
He really wants the boy, and you sort of he feels it's his his right or whatever. So yeah, into the second story is where they talk about the bruises, the beating and everything, and we meet also Kaa the snake. So the what's it called, the Bandur log? These are the monkeys.
Ah.
So this is where the monkeys come in, and...
they're orangutans.
Yeah, they're messing around, and they're kind of lawless. And they always say they're going to do great things, but then they're kind of useless and never get anything done. They don't have a leader, they kind of have anarchy, so they just faff around. They persuade Mowgli, who's like a stupid boy, like... You'll have more fun with us. And then he's not sure, and Baloo and Bagheera are like, yeah, probably don't go with them. So then they just like take him away anyway, and they're like, oh, come swing with us. And then he's like, cool, I would like to go back now. And they're like, well, now you're kidnapped. So they take him away to another part of the jungle, and they enlist the help of Kaa the snake to like help find him, basically. And they all go. And he manages to use his hypnotic eyes. I remember that from the cartoon, to be fair, to like seduce all the monkeys into not, being able to...
Oh, wow.
Take him. But it is a bit worried because we feel like also the other characters would have been a bit seduced by it as well. So you do feel like Kaa's a little bit of a rogue. He maybe could be a villain, but he's not. But it's like, well, but they are all entranced by him, and that's worrying,
Yeah, I did not know that was part of the book.
Yeah. There are, almost like in Winter's at Hollow, for example, at the end of every piece, there's a page of like song or poetry at the end of every story.
Oh.
There's a nice one here, like about the monkeys, for example. And it's just a bunch of verses about them swinging around with their tails and everything. But each verse ends with, like, never mind, brother, thy tails hang down behind. And it's like a little, funny verse about something they're doing, and then their tails hang down behind. This is the way of the monkey kind. And they're kind of nice little stories. And I don't think any one of them was, like, amazing poetry, but they were just nice to have, like, peppered throughout after every story,
Yeah, you're not reading, like, a full poetry book, but you get a little bit as you go through.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of comedic, that one.
Yeah. So they have some of those. There is one that I think where Baloo sings, like, now this is the law of the jungle, and I think that's the one that they used for the, like, I'm the king of the jungle type song.
What was the song? Be like...
But, of course it doesn't go into all that, but I think that's the one that they got the idea from, at least, for that song. We do eventually see him going to a village then, as you say. They eventually tell him, like, he has to leave. But he goes to a village and this one woman is like, right, my son got lost in the forest, so I guess you're him. But then they realise quite quickly that it's not.
Oh, wow.
But she's just like, well, we're going to pretend that you're him. So he just kind of lives with this family, like... It's kind of weird. He comes out of the jungle, he goes to a village. The first house he comes to, they're just like, guess you're our son then. And they just keep him, and he's like, yeah, I'm not your son, though. And they're like, well, yeah, you might as well be. And they just kind of keep him there anyway. And I was really worried, like, is he kidnapped again? But he seems okay. He's, like, happy enough. Of course, he doesn't get any of the human ways, There's a little bit of stuff about that. He has no idea what they do. He seems to make the gods angry. There's a priest who's, like, shock, a bit of a charlatan. And he's just like, oh, you ate all the mangoes, that makes the gods angry. Now your parents will have to pay, like, these large fines to, like, satiate me and God. And it's like, oh, of course they do. Like,
yeah, exactly. That's just how...
so that's just religion. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff about that. Eventually, there's, like, a guy in the city called Buldeo, who is, like, the king hunter there or whatever, but of course Mowgli has real connections with the animals, so he's able to, like, command the wolves to come and help him and things like that. So there's immediately, like, he's showing this guy up or whatever. And because the wolves stay in touch, a couple of them will come and meet him in the rocks at night and talk to him and give him updates and things. So he still has, like, communication with his brothers, and one in particular the grey wolf.
It's interesting that the hunter's not trying to kill.
Well, eventually the hunter turns bad, and
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying to remember what happens in the first book, what happens in the second book. But essentially, what happens at a certain point is they tell the family, like, right, even though that you've taken this boy, and we know he's from the jungle anyway, they're just like, I guess sorcery. So we're gonna have to like kill you all or whatever. So the family end up having to flee.
Wow. Okay.
They tie them up and try to they're like, you can wait here while we go into the jungle and kill the animals and kill Mowgli and whatever else. So of course, like, they make sure that doesn't happen. Mowgli enlists the animals to help and everything, but the family have to escape, and they help them escape through the jungle, even though they're scared of the tigers and whatever else.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
They help them escape, which
So
is
we've
good.
learned that humans are bad still.
So, like, immediately the humans are bad, yeah. And not just, like, religious charlatans, but also, like, this poor family have done nothing wrong, and they're just like, well, I guess you're a witch or something. It's like, or your son's a wizard, I guess, would be more likely. But it's like, well, you could just not do that,
Yeah. Well,
Some of the interlude stories that come in, there's one about a white seal. He's a bit of an outcast because he's white. Seals are normally, I guess, grey.
I didn't know that
And
there were seals in the jungle.
this is a separate story, so as I say, there's some completely unrelated stories.
Okay.
And he basically persuades all the seals to move to like a new harbour where they'll all have better stuff, and they don't trust him. Then one by one they go bit by bit, and by the end they all revere him because like he helped them find a new home or whatever. So it's just like kind of nice, like semi irrelevant, but like nice little side stories.
Okay.
There's one I really liked actually called about Riki Tiki, who is a
Already a good name.
little mongoose. So this is a story where there's a snake called Nag and his girlfriend, I think it's Nagini, and basically these two snakes are terrorizing the garden of like a family who've got like a baby. So then the mongoose is trying to like protect his family and kill the snakes.
Okay. Yeah.
Meanwhile, like all the different animals are talking and choosing sides and things, and he tries to go to the snake and crush their eggs, and he destroys all her eggs, but brings the last one and uses that as a bartering chip to like get the baby to safety and things like that. So it's really pretty cool. That one I really liked, and it was very whimsically done as well. And I really
Wow.
liked.
That sounds like a fun one.
It was a very fun one, and I really liked Nikki Tiki. And of course, the snakes thought they were all that, and then he's like, "Yeah, I just swipe you, I just kill you." I got to avoid like your sting or whatever, or your poison or whatever. But as soon as I can avoid it, as soon as I can grab you, you're done.
I think monkeys are usually resistant to that. It's like they're known to just terrorize snakes.
Okay, well there we go then. That I did not know.
I think they're resistant to some venom.
There's one called Tumai of the Elephants. This is basically a family of like they've owned this elephant for generations, and like it's a very revered thing to be with the elephants. Of course, they're in service of the British Empire. The bit I didn't like was that, of course, immediately when they introduced the British guy, everyone's like very in awe, or there's a lot of reverence paid, and a lot of like the white man is who is really important type of thing, and that was like, oh yeah, okay, here we go. But they don't go too much into it. But essentially, the one kid is this. There's a story that, like, a myth almost, that on one night a year or something, the elephants go to the ballroom and dance. And the ballroom is like a space in the jungle that's cleared out.
That's fun.
Only one or two people have ever found it. But then it happens, and the kid says they used it as almost like he asked the English guy if he could move into a particular position with him, and he's like, well, no, you're a random peasant boy. So he says, yeah, when you see the elephants dance, and that meant like never. But then he sees the elephants dance,
okay.
and then he shows him, look, it happened in this ballroom. Obviously, I can't prove they were dancing, but if you go there, you'll see all the tracks that they left. And then they do, and they're like, oh my god, like no one's ever found like these spaces before, and you're like the best tracker or whatever, so you're gonna end up with like a job here. And his dad is annoyed because his dad is like, I just want him to ride the elephant like me and his granddad and his great granddad did, and not get more involved with the Brits,
Fair.
But just like kind of nice little stories, I think, to be honest. Servants of the Queen was the only one I didn't care about as much. It was like some horses and some other animals talking. The elephant, who they called Two Tails, and Front Tail, I guess. Just about how they served it.
The Queen.
The Queen. It's like, alright, that one's kind of nothing, but still like nice little diversions. And then we go back to our main story, back with the jungle, with Mowgli. So there's Hathi, the elephant. He's telling these stories about like the first elephant who created the jungle and things like that. And there's I guess there's a first of every animal. So he's telling us like the first of the elephants cleared all the space and did all this stuff. The purpose of this story is to tell us mostly about the first of the tigers, who was the first animal to kill another animal. Not in hunting, not like killing for food, but like for sport.
Oh wow!
And that is why he was punished by having the stripe on his body. So that's why the tiger is striped. And when they try to teach him what he's done wrong, he's like, cool, guess I'm going to kill some humans. So he kills a human, and they're like, right, you stupid tiger, because what you've now done is taught the humans to kill.
Oh.
And that will ruin us forever now.
Oh, interesting.
So that's where the tigers were like striped outcasts for the rest of their entire history, basically.
Those types of stories are so cool. Like you
was
hear
really
those, like you might hear like a creation story from the Navajo or something like that. And it just is so interesting. Like some of these ideas that people can come up with, and the creation myths, the like they're so fun.
Yeah, I really, really like that one. Eventually, Mowgli does kill the tiger, by the way, and he's able to like bring its skin and say, "There you go, I killed it." He goes back and sees, like later on, he sees the original family who took him in. Like later in the second book, he goes and catches up with them, which is nice. He becomes so. There's a story with a snake. He meets like a white cobra who's been guarding the king's treasure for so long that like the city doesn't even exist anymore, and it's like. You might see some ruins buried in the jungle or whatever, but he won't believe them. He's like, you're just after my treasure. And they're like, but no one cares anymore. Like, the treasure's abandoned and the city's gone. The king is dead, you know? And Mowgli doesn't understand why he would want money anyway, because, of course, he's not really a person in that sense. But there is, like, one shiny trinket that he thinks might be cool, so he asks for it, and he's told, like, you can take it, but it's gonna kill. And he's really shocked when it causes other humans to come in and kill each other over it. And then he takes it back to the snake and says, yeah, this thing somehow killed 6 times in one night. Take it back, I don't want it. But he doesn't understand that it's because there's jewels in it. You know, like it has a value. He has no concept of that. So he's like, I can't eat it. I can't do anything with it. Why would anyone want it? Take it back, you know? I was just curious about it. I don't need it. It's fine.
Yes, why are jewels so important? Like, just sparkly, pretty things?
Yeah. Sadly, the white cobra is so old that its poison fangs are no longer poisonous, so he like loses all his pride and position anyway because he's, you know, they've all gone like his teeth have gone black and rotted. So that's kind of sad. Well, sad for him, I guess. In the end, by the way, I just wanted to mention about Kaa because we do see him with the snake. So little is he from being an enemy that in the end he's able to curl up into like a hammock for Mowgli to rest upon and not crush him.
Oh, that's so nice.
And it's really nice. And there's lots of nice stories about the animals, but Mowgli eventually becomes master of the jungle. And you do see that he becomes more human because he's more like, I summoned the animals, they haven't come yet. Why are they not coming? I'm the master of the jungle.
So
it's
gone to his head and he wants to rule now.
Yeah. And they say to him basically, you're going to have to leave eventually, but we're not going to kick you out. You're going to force yourself to leave. And he kind of does, because as he gets older, he starts to find the hunting repulsive and he doesn't want to kill the animals, and he starts to be a bit more human, and in the end he leaves like of his own accord, and it's sad, you know? But he doesn't really fit in with the jungle after he kind of becomes an adult. There is one line that just says like he does eventually go on to get married, but that's a story for grown-ups. So then that's like, you know that he ends well, but
this is for... Yeah. Kids,
but
teenagers.
It was really nice. And he has this phrase, by the bull that bought me. So they did a sacrifice of a bull, I guess, and that was what bought his life in the first place. And they use it throughout all the stories every time. It's almost like his swear word almost. He's like, right, by the bull that bought me, I'm going to do this. And he keeps saying it throughout. And at the very end, another bull dies. And they're like, that's the cycle, you're free. You should leave the jungle now.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of like...
I guess it's like, I swear on my mother's grave.
It's kind of like that, yeah. There's a couple of other random little ones. There's one called Kikern. It's about like Eskimos and their dogs. I didn't care for this one as much, but it was a bit sad because the one kid is basically given a dog and it's all he cares about. And then like a kind of famine comes and they're forced to eat the dogs, including his dog, and it's kind of sad. Kikern himself is like a big, ghostly, massive dog monster that they think they see in the distance, like luring all the other dogs or whatever. That was just sad because the kid did eat his pet, I guess.
Oh, yeah, well...
Yeah. The only other one that I want to talk about is the Miracle of Purun Bhagat. This is one that is like almost completely unrelated to everything else. This is a story about a different person for the first time, like human guy who was like prime minister of one state in India, had become really important, really rich, really powerful, worked his way up and up and up and up.
Did you see if this is a real person?
I didn't think to look it up actually.
What's the name?
Purun, Purun, and then Bhagat, Bhagat. I doubt it. He then gives up all his wealth and status and becomes like a wanderer, a holy man kind of character. And he finds like ruins of a lost temple, and he goes in there and just chills. And a bunch of animals come to him, and he ends up living with all the animals in the temple. And the people in the town nearby, they're just like, oh, I guess a holy man has come back to our temple. We should send him food every day. So they just send him like a bowl of food every day. Different people in the village make it, and that keeps him, sustained. And he just lives in the temple. And the end story is that he eventually finds out that I guess like an earthquake or a landslide or something, like their village is going to be destroyed, basically. So he runs down and breaks his kind of peace in the temple and finally runs down after years and talks to all the villagers and persuades them all to leave, and they do in time and saves them all before like their village would be destroyed. And he eventually dies at the end of the story. But oddly, they do reuse that in one of the Mowgli stories, because there was a bit where the original village that people came from also got like trampled over by the earth, and some of them died. So that detail gets reused a little bit, but yeah.
So, not a real person, but apparently he is a mythical person in Punjabi folklore.
Okay.
One of the 9 saints. I don't know what that means, but mythical prince in Punjabi folklore is what it says on Wikipedia.
Nice.
So it does seem like there is a bit of like history to that story.
To the mythology, at least. Yeah, that's nice.
That's really cool.